Hey YouTube, it's Marty from the channel Budget Bugout, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is pocket knives. So as you guys know, pocket knives is part of everyday preparedness because you should always have a knife on you, in my opinion. And if you are a knife collector, which I kind of am, but I still use my knives, then I believe that there are certain knives that you should have if you consider yourself a knife collector or if it's considered a knife collection. And what I would love to know is your thoughts as well. So let me know in the comment section down below what one knife should be in everyone's knife collection. So the first one is, you probably recognize this as a Swiss Army knife. This is from the company known as Victorinox. This is known as the Swiss Army Classic SD. So it's a very small little knife. It goes off the keychain. And you got a little pen knife as well as a nail file, a screwdriver, a small pair of scissors, as well as a toothpick and tweezers as well. Now, I also recommend that people have, multi-tool, like a Leatherman as well. But I'm not going to get into that too much. If you guys want to know my recommendations on multi-tools, just check out my other videos. I'll link them down below. But if you guys are interested, now that I mentioned that, in any of the knives that I talk about in this video, please check out the links for where you can find this as well as all the other knives on Amazon. So next up, another classic, and this is from Buck Knives. This is known as the Buck 110. And you probably also recognize this knife, no matter how familiar you are with knives. That's because this is the most replicated and copied knife in the world. A lot of knockoffs are out there of this knife, but the Buck 110 is a classic knife. It's great for not only outdoor tasks or hunting or whatnot. It's got that classic clip point design, but this can also be great for everyday carry tasks as well. It is a little bit bulkier than a lot of other more modern knives, but if you're looking for kind of a classic design, this will probably appeal to you a lot. Once again, this is a buck knife. It comes in a leather sheath, but there's a lot of other variants out these days that have come out over the last few years. So I encourage you to take a look at them if you haven't seen them yet. So moving on to another kind of a traditional knife. This will be the last of the grandfather knives, as they call them. But this one is from Case Knives. This is known as the Peanut. And this has a bone handle, and it is, colorized or dyed or whatnot. And every knife technically is unique because they all have a different coloration. So I think that's pretty cool. But the other thing I like about this knife, other than its history, is just the fact that it is really small and compact, and you can put this in the fifth pocket of your jeans, and you're not going to scare anybody, in a public setting if you pull this out and use it. So I really like this knife. This is, like I said, from Case Knives. Now, moving more on to modern knives. I chose one knife from every company on purpose, but I would like to hear your recommendations as well. On maybe if the Kershaw Leek, like the knife I have in front of you, is not your favorite Kershaw knife, let me know what your favorite model is from that company. But this is one of the flagships from Kershaw. Like I said, this is known as the Leek. It's a Ken Onion design, and this knife is very small and compact, and it really doesn't take up a lot of pocket space, but compared to its size, the blade length is actually pretty significant. And so this is kind of, like I said, maybe smaller, but it's going to hold up against most everyday carry tasks that you put it up against, as long as you're, not prying the floorboards off the walls or something like that. Now, this is a spring assist knife, and it does have a little safety mechanism that will keep the flipper from activating whenever it's in the pocket. So one of my favorite modern knives, this is from Kershaw. This is known as the Leek. Moving on to Spyderco. It's really hard to narrow it down to one knife, but since this is Spyderco's flagship, I figured I'd go with it, as well as the knife that I carry the most. So I really like the fact that it is lightweight, has an F-run handle, and it's It's ambidextrous for those of you who, you know, you're left-handed and not a lot of knives are kind of made for you. But, you know, I really think the overall look of this knife as well. It also doesn't look scary looking. So, you know, that you pull this out in the office and you use it and put it away and people just see this brightly colored knife and everyone doesn't stampede towards the door kind of thing. But yeah, tip up, tip down, right or left hand carry. It's very lightweight and it has a great full flat grind blade, and it's very ergonomic and just a great knife. So highly recommend the Spyderco Delica 4. Moving on to a Benchmade knife. This is known as the Benchmade Mini Griptilian, and like its name implies, it is the miniature version of the full-size Griptilian from Benchmade. Now these knives, you know, the way that I'm organizing this list is sort of like from less expensive to more expensive. So these knives are just under $100, and what I like about them is the fact that they do have that patented Benchmade access lock, so it's really easy to disengage this from, you know, moving that lock down. But the other thing I like about this knife is the fact that yes, it will take up a little bit more pocket space, but it really feels great in hand. Also very ergonomic. It's also one of the less expensive Benchmade knives that are out there. So if you're looking to get into Benchmade, then I would definitely start with the mini Griptilian or the full-size Griptilian. Moving towards more of a tactical type of knife, this is known as the Recon 1. It's from the company Cold Steel, and this is carried by military and law enforcement individuals kind of all over the world. But you can see that it has a very kind of a lethal kind of design. So that's the Tanto version. You can also get one with a clip point. But yeah, it's a very popular model from Cold Steel. And you know, if you're looking for a knife that is tactical, then I would highly recommend the Recon 1. Now another tactical knife, but more along the lines of self-defense than anything else. This is known as the Emerson CQC, or I should say Mini CQC 15. And CQC stands for Close Quarter Combat because the owner of this company, Ernie Emerson, which is where it gets the Emerson name, he is a martial artist and he is actually in the Martial Art Hall of Fame. And you know, he designed this knife with that patented Emerson wave so that whenever you're pulling this knife out of your pocket, it is able to deploy if you pull it out in a certain way. And it is the fastest way that you can open a knife out of the pocket. So I think it's really cool. So if you're looking for a knife or something self-defense related, and you know your local knife laws and you know a little bit about self-defense, then I would highly recommend any knife from Emerson. Moving along to more higher end types of knives, and this is known as a zero tolerance knife. This is the ZT0562CF, CF standing for carbon fiber. This is one of the best designed knives I think that are out there. It's going to cost you a pretty penny though. It took me a few months or so to save up for this because it's $240 give or take, but it's so worth it. It's a very smooth opening flipper knife. It's a manual flipper and it's extremely ergonomic, and it's probably the best slicer of any capability of any knife that I own. So highly recommend this knife. Can't see enough good things about it, but a lot of other people have made videos on it, so you can check that out or just check out the links down below. Last but not least, this is from Chris Reeves Knives. This is known as the Sebenza. This is pretty much the grail knife for everyone who starts their knife collection. And that's because this is a knife that costs over $400, and it's one of the few knives that are worth buying that's over $300 in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions as well. You got a titanium handle, you have the S35VN, I believe is the name of the steel, and it's just a great, well-designed knife. So it's just extremely tight tolerances, excellent high-end materials. I highly recommend this Idaho-made knife from Chris Reeve Knives known as the Sebenza. Anyways, guys, those are the top 10 knives that I recommend for anyone who has a knife collection. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and check out those links if you're interested in purchasing or finding out more information about any of these knives. Y'all stay safe out there, and remember, it pays to be prepared. God bless.